Okay, so, all right, now let's talk about the big political bombshell that happened this week, which was the state of Virginia. They gerrymandered the fuck out of the state.
Bill Maher just admitted something wild. Said Congress doesn't do anything anyway. So why are we fighting over it? Virginia passed the Democratic gerrymander map. Bill Maher's guests explain how it happened and why it might backfire.
And I hate to sound like a five-year-old, but Trump started it. He did. I mean, now it's out of control, but that's just the fact. He started it.
That's a deflection. They're blaming Trump for starting the mid-decade redistricting, but they admitted both sides to do it.
He encouraged Texas to do this, where they and I thought, like, I had Eric Holder on, like, not that many, a couple of years ago, and it was like, we're going to fix gerrymandering, and we're going to stop it, because, you know, gerrymandering is just not fair. Both sides do it. And then Trump just, of course, had to make it worse. So now Virginia, it looks like it's going to be only the suburbs. We were talking to the governor of Maryland there. Only his people, his constituents in that area. Those are the suburbs around D.C. That's part of Virginia, and they're all, mostly, they do work in the government. That's why so many government workers got fired. So many people in Maryland got fired, because they're government workers. They're going to gerrymander the state so like almost all the votes are coming from there, and the rest of the state's a big state full of hicks. And I say that not in a mean way. Hicks don't have to be stupid. You're a hick? Okay.
I live in Virginia.
Yeah, but the people, rural people, oh, you do?
Yeah, one of that other part.
Which part do you live in?
I live right on the hick to Democrat line.
Okay. But this is just a race to the bottom, is it not? Because now, I mean, California has done it, Illinois has done it, Maryland has done it. We're just going to get to, it was like the last pillar of somewhat a resemblance of democracy that we didn't fully do this, and now we're just going to do it. Every state is just rigged.
Okay. On the one hand, I think it's really funny to fight over which party should control a branch of government that doesn't do anything anymore. Like, why are we fighting over Congress? What's the...
That's hysterical.
What's the point?
That's a great take on that.
Yeah. But okay, like, that's a fun, you know, tug-of-war team jersey thing to play. Virginia used to have a bipartisan, nonpartisan redistricting commission, so we're actually getting worse. But here's the good news. In order to gerrymander this hard in all of these states, you actually do have to make the districts more competitive. So in a wave election, like what we're planning to have this fall, where Democrats will take...
What do you mean, make it more competitive?
This is the tell. The admitted gerrymandered districts are more competitive. 54% wins instead of 80%. That's why it backfires in a wave election.
Well, each district gets gerrymandered to make sure that Democrats can win, but instead of winning some seats by, you know, 80%, now they can only win them by 54%, 55%.
Oh, I see, right.
So in a wave election, the water would swamp you out. So Texas, my home state, Trump pressured them into doing it, like you said. They started this. They're actually quite likely to lose many of the seats they gerrymandered if the Democratic wave gets high enough. They will be underwater. And in a year where there's a Republican wave, these Virginia seats will actually be lost by Democrats. So, like, maybe, again, I don't know what we're fighting over. Again, a branch that, like, sits on Instagram and, like, takes pictures of themselves and says, send me $5. So glad one party controls that. Phew!
Well, oh, come on. If the Democrats have the kind of success a lot of us think they're going to have in the midterms, you don't think that's going to make a difference? You don't think that's going to be different if the Democrats control all the committees in that Congress?
They will not pass so much more not passing of legislation. You're right. Wow. They'll do oversight, and they'll have hearings where they do more Instagram reels to raise more money. They're not going to actually use the power of the purse, pass legislation. They might impeach someone. They're certainly not going to convict them in the Senate, so it'll be another great...
That's the one thing they can't do, is impeach. You're right. That needs 67...
They can impeach. They cannot remove.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Okay, well, nobody cares about that.
Well, but I'll tell you when you care, is when you see 6 months of your life vanish because you're watching that process unfold and you know how it's going to end when you've been through it twice before, and they're doing it for the same reason they do the gerrymandering, which is all that matters to these people now is the retention of their own power. And I think the reason it's important this is happening is for people to see what the governor was talking to you about. Independent is the fastest growing part of the electorate for a reason.
They're sidestepping the question. Both parties do this for power, but they admitted Congress doesn't do anything. So what's the point? That's the thing. Bill Maher basically said Congress is useless. Both parties rigged the game. That's the verdict. If this makes you sick, hit like and subscribe. The game is rigged and nobody wins, except the people in power.
Which is they hate the parties. And the more people are anti-party, the better a chance we have that anything gets better.